I you have it. So something has changed. If I increase the reservoir pressure in this case, you increase the mass flow rate because intuitively you know that your gas is more dense. Then for the same Mach number equal to 1 and same cross-sectional area, same velocity and so on, it's the higher density that gives you the higher mass flow rate. So that means what? If I can add to be larger, you can actually add more valve. For example, you can add a valve here. You can add a valve here. You can also add a valve here. You can also add a valve here. So here is opening the reservoir, and here is opening the opening for the individual valve. Then by adding up the A star means A flow here, for each one is different. You can have a different mass flow rate. Make sense to you? Because it's all choke, so each nozzle has its own flow rate. And you think about it, look at this as what? Quarter. This is dime. That's nickel. That's penny. Open them in the correct combinations while controlling the reservoir pressure. Then you have the whole range of mass flow that you want. Make sense? And I use this to control my flow rate during my doctoral dissertation. Even though my experiment is very subsonic, but I'm using supersonic theory to control my flow rate. Now, in your measurements lab, the flow rate is probably controlled based on, well, you probably will read the manometer. Or you have something called a flow meter that has a float with a tube. So this thing is called Bob. I don't know why it's called Bob and not June. You know? You think, you know? What do you see it? You see it, right? You have this tube, and then you have a float. I call it float. Some people call it Bob. And you read the scales, and then you can correlate the flow rate. But that kind of flow meter usually cannot handle high pressure and high flow rate. Right? So if you want very high flow rate, what would you do? You will have a huge flow meter, which initially I tried. It was in the 1980s, so it's very old school. So the flow meter is this big, this tall. The whole thing is about like 40 pounds. So I hold the 40 pounds and put it on a panel, a couple of them, 3 or 4 of them, and put it on a control panel. It's very heavy. But this is very lightweight. Actually, you can purchase this. You can purchase this commercially. Some people use this for their flow control. I still need to use this. But we were pretty frugal at that time. We even made this in our own lab. So you machine it, right in a machine shop, and you drill the hole. And then you have your mass flow meter control it. So you control the pressure, and you make various sizes of this, and you can control it. Pretty. The pressure that I have in reservoir during my experiment was about 3,000 psi. And of course, this is kind of simplified. You can actually meter it down. You can put another pressure gauge here by opening this. You can control the pressure here. So this pressure serves as the PT for this conversion diversion nozzle. So you can meter it down. So again, by combinations of this and by combination of the pressure, you can have a wide range control of mass flow rate. And sometimes controlling the mass flow rate is more important than controlling the volume flow rate, because once you know the mass flow rate, depending on the pressure where your experiment or your real application is, you can convert it to volume flow rate easily. The flow meter that we talked about, like a tube, that has to be calibrated by the pressure upstream of it, even though the pressure difference is not very large. So what you are reading there is some sort of a volume flow rate. But volume flow rate is kind of a funny thing, right? If your pressure is higher for the same mass flow rate, your volume flow rate is smaller. So sometimes you really want to control the mass flow rate because mass is conserved, the volume is not, right? So once I know how much mass is being delivered, I can calculate the volume into whatever environment that you are talking about. And then you can calculate the velocity, right? Make sense to you? So that's an application. So you said the combination of PT times summation of AI star, I means 1, 2, 3, 4, or even more. Right? So that's just very intuitive. I don't even think you need an example. Because by the time you do this, this is really just simple summation, right? Okay. Let's have one more example, and then we will have finished chapter 3. Okay. Here really is example 3.6 in your textbook. Why do I want to do it? Because I think it's a very good example. You could have read it yourself, but then do it. So this is example 3.6 in your textbook. This is page 91. What you have is a reservoir which is at 500K. So this is your TR, R for reservoir. But really since it's reservoir, TR is equal to TT, right? PR is equal to 500 kilopascal. And it's air, so that means gamma equal to 1.4. Because through a conversion divergent nozzle, your A throat is equal to 5 centimeters squared. So you will have some of your exit conditions ME. Now, A, if ME is equal to 1.5, then you know your AE over A star is equal to AE over ATH is equal to 1.176. So that means your AE is equal to 5.88 centimeters squared. Now this step may look very innocent. And you say, why do I need to write that step? Now, in terms of your thinking, that means you know that. You know that. As simple as this whole this whole thing is one line. There are many things that you know. But to show that you know, you need to write it, right? You cannot just tell me you know. Because your exit Mach number is 1.5, that means Mach number at the throat has to be 1. Otherwise, it's not possible, right? We already talked about that in supersonic flow, when dA is greater than 0, Mach number at velocity increases. That's counterintuitive, which is fine. But because it's 1.5, your throat somewhere it must be sonic, right? Otherwise, you cannot have a supersonic flow coming out of a reservoir. So it has to be sonic somewhere. Where would it be sonic? It can only be at throat. So that means your ATH is equal to A star. So what you want to do here really is for this ME to be equal to 1.5, that means AE over A star has to be 1.176. That's really what you want. That's really what you would have as a first thought. But then your A star, based on the reasoning we just went through, your A star really is ATH. So that includes all your thinking. Yes.
The ME was given, and then the AE over A star was from the tables, right?
It can be from equation. You can just use the equation.
Okay.
Now, for the purpose of taking exams of physics, you may program that into your graphing calculator. Just or just print it out. Pages. Yeah. You know that you can do it with equations, right? You don't need a table, right? You don't know that, right? Yeah. This is not matrix, right? Oh, it's a matrix is coming out of a table given by someone else. No, it's not. It's based on the equation. All your tables at the end of the textbook are based on the equation. It's making it easy. It takes up like 50 pages of paper. I don't know why. Everyone should just use equations. Everyone said 50 pages of paper. Now, does this sound correct? Yeah. It sounds good? This is innocent one line, right? So many thinking already went into it, right? Okay.
This might be a silly question, but A star is always A of the fruit when it's like on one, right?
Exactly. Because where can the DA be 0? Mach 1 is occurs at right? That's what we said. All this math means something, right? You don't just guess it. How can dA be equal to 0? dA equal to 0 means the slope is equal to 0. The slope equal to 0 means it's either maximum or minimum. And in a conversion diversion alpha means minimum. And where is the area that is minimum? So, right? Okay. So that's it. Now, B is for choking. Find PB. So you have PB. That's the second part. Can someone tell me intuitive what would be the range of pressure of PB that the nozzle can be choked? You say, well, how about vacuum? Well, that's like saying nothing, right? Because the pressure cannot be negative. And you say, oh, if the bag is vacuum, the nozzle is choked. But no, and find PB meaning the range. Can someone give me a quantitative description based on, okay, let me be more, based on the graph that we have, which point will give you choke condition? Yes.
Oh, I was going to say less than 500 times 0.5283.
Wrong. That's for conversion nozzle, not as conversion diversion. So that's huge, huge, huge difference, okay? Conversion nozzle, because your maximum Mach number is 1 and the exit. Because conversion nozzle in theory is conversion and it's like imaginary diversion outside, right? So at the exit of conversion nozzle, that's where your dA is equal to 0. So your maximum Mach number can only be 1, and if it's 1 there, the pressure ratio is 0.5283. But now here you have a conversion diversion nozzle. So okay, this is very important. That's a very good question. And I can tell you the same mistake has been making over 20 years after I spoke about this. 20 years is still some mistake we will make. I gave you a conversion diversion nozzle and I asked you at what pressure the nozzle will be choked. One part of the class says 0.5 to 83. Grading that question will be easy because that means you don't know the difference between conversion and diverting nozzle. And you should know the difference, right? By now, you should know. If you don't know, come to me. Talk to your classmates who know. It's hard to say who knows, but those of you who knows can you raise hands so people can ask you? You know.
The pressure is at least at the 0.4 on that graph, or that's where we
Yes. Should be at most, you should say. Right? Without this point, it's all choke. Even though exit mark number is still less than 1, but it's choke. That's the point. Okay? So this pressure. Make sense? Yes.
But isn't that more like an arbitrary point, or is that like mathematics? It's 4 represents the case of the ratio.
What do you think?
Looks to me like it's just a number that represents the point.
What number? Yeah, if you want to give it a number, one number. I'm not saying 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C. If you are said ratio, what would it be? Hmm?
1/4 pressure reservoir,
Who can explain that is not, should not be the answer?
yeah, I know it's not. That's why I was asking.
So if it's a 3, it's a 3 to 1.
That's what my guess was, but I said I don't know. So I'm asking.
Who else can explain? I don't have a quiz like this right today. I just don't know what to say.
So the points 1, 2, 3, 4 do not represent actual y-axis values. That's what we just decided? Okay.
This is a sketch, right?
Yeah.
This is a cheat sheet. This means that it's always true no matter what you are talking about. If you have a conversion diversion nozzle. Because I mean, not, to be honest, you cannot say it's 4 to 1. Otherwise, B is what? B to 1? You don't know what B is, right? So, sounds good? So this you need to know, right? To say, okay, that's the point where I can have that pressure corresponding to that point, and if it's below that, then nozzle is choked. Regardless whether you will have shock wave later on or not. The pressure, if the back pressure is below the corresponding pressure at 4, then the nozzle is choked. Right? So, just for the illustration, if I'm going to draw another curve, I call it this 4, I call that 5. Right? You know what I'm saying? Then you can say it's 5 to 1. If I draw 20, as I said, you can draw infinite number of it.
But would it have the same, it looks like it's 0.6, 0.5 or something like that. Would it always be the same
No.
value for, oh no, okay.
You don't know. You don't know until you do it.
Okay, so that's just the shape that you.
Of course, it's going to be less than 500 kilopascal, that's for sure, right? But how much lower, right? So that's what we are trying to do. How much lower should that be for you to do it? Now remember now your AE over A star is equal to 1.176 for M flow equal to 1, right? So we are repeating what we already know from part A. Now, if this is the case, remember, this point still gives you subsonic exit. So this is the maximum pressure that you can have a choke nozzle. If you have a back pressure higher than that, you will not have a choke nozzle, right? So this is like a limited condition. Once you can calculate that, you say, hey, if back pressure is lower than that, you will have a choke nozzle. Make sense? So, what you are having here is a supersonic condition, and what you would have here is a subsonic condition. Make sense? So you remember, for the same area ratio, the flow can be supersonic or subsonic. based on your pressure ratio, right? So part A, we are looking for supersonic exit. Part B, we said for the same geometry, if it's going to be choked by with subsonic exit, what will be the back pressure? So the back pressure through the table, or you can calculate it, is PP PT will be equal to 0.778 for ME equal to 0.61. So to answer your question, the pressure not only cannot be 4 to 1, because 4 to 1 is too large, it's greater than 1, right? It definitely has to be less than 0, so it's 0.778. If your NPN has a pressure that is only 77.8% of your reservoir, you will have a choke nozzle, even though the exit is subsonic. And for that matter, the exit Mach number will be 0.61. That's good. So now again, if you go back and think about it, for the same geometry, the exit can be supersonic or subsonic depending on the back pressure.
Remember, there's two different.
Right? Or to be more to be more general, it depends on the pressure ratio. Because this is 0.778.
I did miss condition.
Yes.
This is 0.4. Or this is that point that's number 4 on the graph. So it's gonna go back.
Which equation?
Like what process gets used to get from the area where it's being
And table is not mentioned, it corresponds to an equation that we already covered, right? Isentropic relationship. Any more questions? Sounds good? Okay. So that means PP less than 389 kilopascal for the choking. Another. Okay. Just for the sake of answering this question, these are the equations we use. Now, of course, if you talk about P over PT, it's inverse of that, right? You have done this, and all these are calculated. Right? Okay. The part C is that what happens if PB is equal to 450 kilopascal? What is your exit Mach number? Yes.
I have a question of order B.
Mm-hmm.
It's a point between 4 and C on that sketch. Is that what you said earlier? Not just below it. It's these points C, right?
Yeah.
But it's not
I don't know.
It doesn't count. Because what you are asking is, under what condition the nozzle will be choked, right? You don't care whether it's supersonic exit, subsonic exit, and even where the subsonic exit is because you have part of the supersonic and go through a shock wave or not. Okay? So the answer is beyond your question. My answer is, I try to preempt this question. Okay, so this is great. Everyone's paying attention. Now, at point 4, you will have subsonic exit. The thing about point 4 is that you will have isentropic flow throughout the whole thing. Meaning, you have acceleration to the flow, subsonic at the flow, and then deceleration isentropically to subsonic flow at the end. Now, if your back pressure is at 0.5, for example, you have acceleration all the way through, reaching sonic at the flow, and then continue to accelerate. And you will be isentropic throughout the whole thing. Now, if what you have is between 4 and C, that means you will have a normal shock within the nozzle, including right at the nozzle exit. If you have condition between C and 5, you will have operate shock wave outside the nozzle. But all these conditions, as long as it's below 4, it doesn't change there, right? For example, again, you look at it, corresponding to 1, 2, 3, and 4, we actually have a different curve. Because above 4, you would not have sonic condition at the flow. So that means the flow throughout the whole nozzle knows what's in the surrounding. Because it's subsonic flow, and the signal and the surrounding say, hey, I'm 450 kilopascal, for example, for next. Yeah, I know that. The whole flow knows that you will adjust to it. But if you decrease it to 400 kilopascal, the flow will further adjust it, it will come down. Right? Because it requires 398 kilopascal and below for you to reach sonic condition. And once you reach the sonic condition, the flow will not know what's going on downstream of it. Right? So if the back pressure is below 389 kilopascal in this example, it is at 389 in this example. That's why I'm saying that's not a magic number, right? For this example, if the back pressure is below that, you will reach what number at the throat. So if I continue to decrease the pressure in the surrounding, the flow upstream of it will not know it because it's choked. What number is equal to 1. The very fact that the pressure signal in the surrounding cannot propagate upstream of the flow makes the flow not aware of any change. And if it is sufficiently lower than 389, that's kind of like push someone over the cliff, right? That's what I'm saying. It will continue to accelerate. But if your pressure is low but not too low, then the flow eventually has to adjust to your back pressure through shock wave. That will be condition like A, B, or C. And if it's low and sufficiently low but not sufficiently low compared to 5, then you will have a big shock wave outside the nozzle. Right? So you have this flow regime, 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sense? Okay, now, let's go back to this example. So that's why this, is not true, right?